The National Championships have been in Buninyong for a long time, but they did have a 2-year stint in Adelaide. And when they were there, Kate Bates managed to win the title. Probably best known as a track rider. She was a points race world champion, but she's decided not to go for a ride with me because she's pregnant. So I'm going to go and have coffee with her. Come and join me.
Been waiting for you, Keno.
Thanks.
The first coffee's come and gone.
Kate, firstly, before we talk about bikes, pregnancy, what's it like?
Oh, no, it's really exciting, really exciting. But you keep hearing people talk about how you have a glow and you feel great. I just don't think these people know what it's like to feel good.
The grandmother said, oh, she's glowing, she looks gorgeous.
No nonsense. I miss riding my bike, and I miss doing all those normal things. But it's pretty exciting. I know we're having a girl, and it's pretty exciting to imagine, teaching her to ride a bike. And all that sort of stuff.
I like the idea of going for a bike ride with you because I reckon your powder weight will be down a bit.
Well,
I might be a chance.
Were we going downhill or along the flat?
Well, I was going to ask you the questions downhill and get you talking uphill. That was the whole idea.
Yeah. Short interview.
Okay, well let's go back to the glory days. 2006 Australian Road Championships. What a podium. Sarah Carrigan, Olympic Games gold medalist from 04, and Anoni Wood ended the season twice, the world's #1 ranked cyclist. That's a pretty good result sheet.
Yeah, well, and a couple of days earlier, Kathy Watt had won the time trial.
Yeah.
So it was the year...
She's got a fair CV.
She does. I mean, it was the year qualifying for Commonwealth Games in Melbourne. So a lot was on the line, and going in, they sort of said everything comes down to this
selection race.
Yes, absolute selection race. And it was a bit of a rough time. I mean, I think back, and on one hand, it's the most amazing memory. Like, I get goosebumps even thinking about the lead-in and the day and winning and the podium. It's almost a bit of a blur. It was so cool. But it came off the back of...
It was a traumatic 2005.
Yeah, pretty tough time actually, and I've thought about it a lot because they're so linked. But of course, in 2005 we lost Amy, and after that, my sister and I stayed in Germany for a number of months. We didn't ride our bike a lot. We talked a lot about whether we ever would again, which might seem like a really big reaction to it, but female cyclists don't make a lot of money, so we all did it for the love of it. And we all started to question... Lost the love a little. Was it worth it? Yeah. If this was the risk.
It was a really emotional race at the start because, if I remember correctly, Lorian Graham was on the start line. Yeah. And she'd won the year before.
Yeah.
And it was... She was one of the ones involved in the accident, yeah.
Yeah, and we were staying down at the beach with Alex Rhodes, and it was all around us. And we banded together as a community to get through that. But sometimes that made it a little bit harder, and... if you look at the names like your Liv Gollins and your Anonis and your Sarahs, they're all the riders who kind of bore the biggest impact of it in terms of really questioning what they were doing and why they were in the sport. But I do remember thinking that if I was going to do it, it had to be really worth it. Yeah. And I just changed coaches. I had Petra Rosner coaching me, so the old German Olympic champion, legend.
She went okay.
Yeah, and she said the same to me, like you do it properly or you don't bother doing it at all. So in that way, I think my sister and I, Nat was going for the time trial and I was going for the road race. She got second in the time trial. And so
you beat your sister, and that's all that counts.
Yeah.
I got gold, you got silver.
And we sort of together had gone into it saying, let's make this count. If we're going to go down this path, be away from loved ones, let's make it worth it. And I don't know, there was something about that day. I remember like 2 or 3 days beforehand, Petra had told me to go out and do a 2-hour ride with 1 10-second sprint, just one. And she said, if you how Germans say it, she said, if you hit 1300 watts, you will win on Saturday. And and I hit like 1302. Yeah,
that's all that matters. I hit 1300.
Yeah, it did. It really gave me this incredible confidence. So when I stood on the start line, I fully had it covered. I was like, oh, I've got this.
Really?
And everybody else seemed
that must
really
be an amazing
nervous.
Feeling.
Yeah, it is.
To have that sort of confidence.
Yeah.
So when you came to the finish line, you had Carrigan there with you.
Sort
of.
Yeah,
well, she's in the background of the photo anyway.
Well, her and I rode until about 2k to go together quite well. Yeah. And then at 2k to go, she laid off me, and I knew what she was doing, but you never quite know how to react when it's a one-on-one situation. You're taking a bit of a gamble with however you react, and she hit me, and I saw her go, and there's just this little part of me that went, oh, I got this. Yeah. And I
Great.
reeled her in a little bit, and I kind of played with her. And
I think I felt like that once in a C-grade club race.
Well, she was turning around and looking at me and going flat chat. I mean, you're in
Yeah.
the last 2 kilometres of a national title. But she did keep looking around, and I would always put the pain face on.
Yeah.
And I got up to her and I rode straight past her. And I'd say it so easily, but I don't think I've ever had... no, sorry. I've had one other day on the bike
On the
that
track?
good, and that was when I
Won the world points race
Yep,
title.
on the
So how's
track.
the Australian road title compared to the points race world title? Because
Equally
one's a
as
rainbow,
satisfying.
we're both pretty satisfied. One's a rainbow
Yeah.
jersey, the other's the green and gold. But to me, there's something about that green and gold jersey.
Very different journeys. You know,
Yeah.
on the track, I grew up on the track. I kind of felt like I would always get there.
Yeah.
There was a part of me that had confidence that give me long enough
Yeah.
and I would get there. But on
Yeah.
the road,
Yeah.
there was never that same confidence until all the circumstances aligned, and I had Petra and I had this day, and I felt so physically good, and I felt really confident, empowered. And on that day, I mean, without any question rather, I've never had a day that good before or after.
What about at Mount Buninyong?
Oh, Mount Buninyong.
That's
You
a
know-
sprinter's paradise, isn't it? Mark Renshaw's all over Mount Buninyong. He thinks it's fantastic.
Well, the thing is, in One Tree Hill, there were hills as well.
Yeah.
Not just one. With
Yeah.
a tree.
It's ironically
But-
named, isn't it? Yeah.
But something about Buninyong,
Yeah.
it was a real head crack. You really had to talk yourself into
Yeah.
being able to do it. And, you know, I think I could talk myself into a couple of laps, but
Talk yourself out of the next 6.
yeah, 10
I want to
laps is a
rename
long
it.
time.
Given Gerrans has been so successful there, there's the Murder Gehrigsbergen at the Tour of
Oh.
Flanders. Let's call it the Murder Gerrans.
Yeah.
The
Well,
Murder
and-
Gehrigsberg.
And Gracie Alban as well.
Gracie Alban, she's on a hat trick this year.
Yeah. I mean,
So what's it
she's-
like for you now going back and watching and commentating?
Look, I really enjoy being able to watch it and see everything that you learn and experience as an athlete,
yeah.
but maybe never get the chance to play it out. So if I look at an athlete like Gracie Alban,
Yeah.
I can see what she's capable of, and I can
Dropped
watch
on the
the
climb,
race
comes back and wins.
and say, no, she can still win. Whereas when you're on the bike, if you don't have the same strength, it's a really different experience. So I feel like now
Plus, on the bike, you're making decisions at 180 beats a minute.
Yeah, that's
Whereas in the
yeah.
commentary box, it's pretty easy to make clear decisions.
That's it, and it is very easy, as you well know, as a commentator to say she really needs to do this now, or
Yeah.
she really needs to do this,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a test of their character as to whether they do, because you know that.
I try not to say
The
that, but
blood's
ask
up here.
people like you loaded questions, so you say that.
Yeah, that's the trick.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
Yeah. No,
Oh.
I think commentating it's a really interesting. I almost feel like you should get all of the athletes to step into the commentary box for a race and
Yeah.
see what they see and what they comment on, and whether it changes the way they race. Because having commentated
And how they perceive
second,
being commentated on.
I think that I would actually race a little bit different,
Yeah.
because I watched
Okay.
scenarios play out that on the bike I couldn't see. I wasn't
Yeah.
privy to, because I was at the front or the back, or my heart rate was too high.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really interesting.
Here's a scenario
perspective.
for you. 2006 in Melbourne,
Yeah.
and your sister wins the Commonwealth Games.
That was
What a moment.
That was the moment of my career.
Not your win,
No.
your sister's win at the Com Games. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. When you and Nat embraced over the finish line,
Well, a lap earlier, I'd actually asked Warren McDonald, the national coach at the time, if I could stop,
yeah.
because I wanted to watch.
You wanted to
Nat
watch her go
win.
across the
Yeah,
line?
and he said no.
No.
So
Better keep going, Kate.
yeah, so as soon as I did, I bombed her Channel 9 interview. I just ran in.
Saw
and
that.
It was amazing. I mean, Nat and I grew up racing together and riding together, and I think the big difference between us was, deep down, I had this, I don't know, this confidence. I don't know where I got it from, and she didn't, but I always believed I could do it. And I think Nat never quite had that 1% that she never got on the line and said, I'm going to win this today. Whereas I was kind of arrogant enough to do that. And so for Nat to just take it on from the start, it was amazing.
The whole team loved that day, and Matt Hayman, when he won the men's race as well, I think the whole team really loved that to see them
Yeah,
win.
I think it sounds really cliche, but it is about who you're riding with and
Yeah.
kind of the journey to get there. And you don't
Yeah.
have a more powerful one than with your sister.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, off the back of 2005 being such a rough year, 2006 meant so much to us and to our family, you know, and to Mum and Dad, who got the phone call in 2005 about what had happened. For them to be able to stand on the roadside in Adelaide and in Melbourne and watch it be worth it,
Yeah.
you know, so they could no longer turn around to us and say,
Oh, we get it now.
is it worth it?
It is
Yeah,
worth it.
that was
Yeah.
really, really powerful, and
Yeah.
that carried us, for quite a few years, I think.
Yeah. Well, you sound like you're in that position now with the bub on the way, that
Yeah.
you're contemplating things. I'll go bring the car around.
All right.
So once
thank you. That's so kind of you.
once you've delivered, let's go for a ride then. But we'll
Yep.
do it really quickly so you're still out of condition. I'll stand half a chance.
Okay, all right. And let's just see if in maybe 20 years she can take you for a ride.
I think she might be taking care of me pretty quickly. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Keno.